The Towering Tales of New York, a kid's journey through architecture ends. Upon a time in the bustling city of New York, a curious young boy named Leo and his sister Mia loved exploring the towering buildings and busy streets of their home they often wondered about. The stories behind the city's magnificent skyscrapers, charming brownstones, and mysterious bridges. One sunny Saturday, their grandpa Max decided it was time to take them on an adventure journey through the history of New York's architecture. Let's start at the very beginning, Grandpa Max said as they walked to the heart of the city. Did you know that hundreds of years ago, this place was home to the Lenape people? They built simple homes called wigwams out of wood and bark. The land was green and peaceful, with no skyscrapers in sight. Leo's eyes grew wide. No skyscrapers. What did the city look like? Grandpa Max smiled. It was all forests, rivers, and hills. But everything changed when the Dutch settlers arrived in the 1600s. They built small, sturdy houses with steep roofs, which were called Dutch colonial homes. These homes were perfect for keeping out the rain and snow. Mia pointed to a small, old building tucked between two taller ones. Is that one of them? Grandpa nodded. That's the Wyckoff House, one of the oldest houses in New York. It's like a time machine from the 1600s. Next, they visited the financial district. Grandpa Max explained how the city grew during the 1700s and 1800s. As New York became busier and more important, people built row houses and brownstones. These cozy homes were made from reddish-brown sandstone and lined up neatly along the streets. Many of them are still here today. Leo touched the cool stone of a brownstone building. It's like touching history, he said. Grandpa Max laughed. Exactly, Leo. And then came the skyscrapers. By the late 1800s, steel and elevators changed everything. Architects started building taller and taller buildings, like the Flatiron Building. Doesn't it look like a giant slice of pizza? Both kids giggled. Mia tilted her head. It does. They continued to Midtown Manhattan, where Grandpa Max pointed to the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building. These are Art Deco skyscrapers from the 1920s and 1930s. Look at the shiny details, like the spire on the Chrysler Building. It's like a crown for the city. Wow, Mia said. It's so shiny. But what about those glassy ones over there? She pointed to the sleek modern buildings in the distance. Grandpa Max explained, those are modern skyscrapers made of glass and steel. Architects now design buildings to be eco-friendly and use sunlight to save energy. The tallest of them all is One World Trade Center, built after the tragic events of 9/11 to symbolize hope and strength. Their final stop was the Brooklyn Bridge. This isn't a building, but it's one of New York's greatest architectural wonders, Grandpa Max said. It was built in the late 1800s and connects Manhattan to Brooklyn. Imagine walking across it before there were cars and hearing the clip-clop of horses. As the sun began to set, the city lights sparkled around them. Leo and Mia looked up at the skyline. Now filled with stories from the past, New York's buildings aren't just bricks and glass, Mia said. They're like a big history book you can walk through. Grandpa Max nodded. And the best part is, the story isn't over. Every new building adds another chapter to the city's tale. As they headed home, Leo and Mia couldn't stop talking about all they had learned. They decided to draw their favorite buildings when they got back, inspired by the towering tales of New York City.